Baba Yaga! Welcome in to the Bro 4 Squad podcast, where we are just a bunch of bros drinking beer and talking movies. This is episode 233. I'm your host, the Mayor, Jeff Hornacek. Thank you guys so much for joining us for the movie discussion tonight. Before we get into it, we have to go around, of course, and meet my fellow bros. We begin with the American hero, Nate Thurmond. Now, Nate, I asked the other bros this last week on the podcast, so obviously want to give you a chance to answer. What did you get me for Christmas this year?
So I'm really glad you brought that up because I've been meaning to tell you. I got you the perfect present. Nothing. It's nothing. What can I get to the guy who has everything? There's a lot of shit I don't have and want, actually. Like material things that I think would actually make my life better. Well, we'll just have to round back for, I don't know, Flag Day or something. Maybe I'll get you something then. I don't know. You always do go big on Flag Day. I took 11 days off work so I could be here for the delivery guy. He just never came. I thought it was his fault. I think so. Yeah, we'll blame it on him. I do have to say real quick. So my wife had this really good idea. I actually don't know if she got it from one of your wives, but she set out like this little basket with like treats on our front porch, and it says "Thank you, delivery workers," and they like come and grab them. Yeah. We had a guy the other day. I'm not even exaggerating. He spent like over a minute looking through this thing for a treat to get. I was like, dude, you've seen them all. Yeah. Like, you're not.
You just never
a
know.
Kid.
One could be hiding in there.
He wanted to make it count.
And then he took like a Snickers bar. I was like, all
he
that.
Probably wanted a Twix, like a small little Twix back in the corner. Couldn't find it.
I don't know. It was just, I've seen like adoptions go quicker than this guy trying to pick out like a little snippy snack. All right, now we go to our legal counsel, Ronnie Cycli. Now, Cycli, I know you didn't get me a Christmas gift this year, per your own admission last episode, but I realized I totally forgot to ask, what are you getting me for Kwanzaa?
I think you really like to, blank me out because I did get you a gift for Christmas, and I'll get you the same for Kwanzaa. It's divorce papers. So, you can keep acting like you're not hearing me, but it's the same thing. So
I don't
live in
want
your
a
fun
gag.
little world.
I don't want a gag gift. I want something real.
Oh, this is real. So
Mickey Mouse.
Court-ordered mandate. You got to show up this time.
Because my wife's quote unquote leaving me for a
Not
quote unquote
your wife.
Another guy. Yeah.
I don't wash my hands.
There's a skit where Will Ferrell's like, okay, then I have 2 kids. Like, why'd you put your kids in quotes? Okay, then I also have 2 kids. All right, well, here on the Bro 4 Squad podcast, we normally start every day episode off with the most important thing in any bro's life, and that is chest day. But we're feeling a little sore this week, as we did last week, and so we're going to skip right into our protein shake, back to popular demand, which, by the way, last week's episode, one of our longtime listeners, let me look up their username as I say this, but they cyclically loved the pen discussion that we had at the beginning of the episode, where Boehner brought up how ballpoint pens rarely get used to their full potential.
Oh God, that's like his favorite made-up stat that he goes with.
Yeah, it's beautiful and sad at the same time.
Well, Cycling, I asked, like, does that mean you don't use all the ink, or does it mean that like the pencil just like has a lot of like things it can do in life that it doesn't do? And that's what
this is a Pixar short in the making. Like, it shouldn't be too emotional, and you're gonna be crying in 2 minutes for absolutely no reason.
Yeah, I think it boils down to you lose the pen before it actually gets used up or gets thrown away in the trash or something. But it never gets to the full extent of using all the ink because it gets lost in the seat cushion or something.
It's really sad.
Also, I have like a ton of pens I don't even remember getting. And then I don't even understand how receiving and losing pens works, because there's just a random assortment of pens on my desk. Couldn't tell you where they came from. Couldn't tell you if they're the same pens from last year.
I have a weird obsession with taking hotel pens.
You pay like for that. It. But not the shampoo, or do you take that with you too?
Well, my wife's a klepto. She takes that stuff. The user is at Tahuaroa. I love this guy. He always comments on our videos. He's awesome. So thank you for that. And Brian Boehner will be very pleased to know that people are interested in his big pen talk.
Don't tell him that. Tahuaroa?
Not. I bet Hawk Tuah girl like really infringed on his IP when she
Well,
came.
don't invest in our meme coin. We don't want to get arrested.
It's gonna bounce back, okay? Seller's market right now. All right, on our protein shake, we go around talk about what's in our cup, also known as what have we watched lately. Nate Thurman, you and I haven't got to pod in a little while, so let's toss it to you first. What's in your cup? What are you chugging these days?
Cool. Yeah, I've got about 5 items that I was thinking back from the last time we potted, main items. I think we have like 2, maybe 3 crossovers here. So we'll go ahead and throw it to the one that you suggested to me, and I watched over the weekend, Cellar Door.
The most
weird
beautiful
movie.
phrase in the English language.
Weird movie. And I think actually I have notes on my phone. I forgot I was making notes as I was watching it. It felt like a Hallmark movie the way it was shot. I'm not sure why. I think one of the things that gave
Very
me that
televisual.
Feeling, yeah, like they would go to
So-
like black screen and then come back as like a zoom in on the house or something. It's like there was no commercial. What are you doing?
Real quick before Nate goes off. So, Cycle, I think I told you about this movie. The plot is Jordana Brewster and Scott Speedman are a like mid-30s couple who has dealt with a tragedy in their life, and they want to basically move out of the city into the suburbs. And Lawrence Fishburne plays a character named Emmett, who they meet, and he gives them an intriguing offer where he says he would like to gift them. Yes. He says he would like to gift them his home for free, but there is one condition: they can never open the cellar door, and if they do, they will lose the house.
How would he know, though? Does he have like an alarm on it?
I mean, there's ways.
He's a warlock.
Oh, well.
And it's like it's a castle basically that he's giving to them. But yeah, that's basically the setup for the plot synopsis.
I was a little more removed when Nate saw it, but I didn't realize I thought it was just like really good, trashy fun, like watching the twists and turns it throws on you. There's a few unexpected twists, I would say, but Nate did kind of point out, like, yeah, I guess with the like flaws in logic and continuity that they throw in it, like you could kind of pull off any twist and get away with it if you're not beholden to any of the rules of like reality. It's not like a supernatural twist in any way, but there's definitely some they take some liberties, we'll put it that way.
Yeah, there are a few continuity things that they're kind of spoilers, so I won't point out, that kind of took me out of it, which was unfortunate. The dialogue was a little corny at times. I'm trying to see what else I had here. Yeah, and I don't know. And then the like you said, the twist that's not a twist. I won't go into it in further detail, but the ending was just kind of blue ballish, I would say.
Yeah, I definitely think the movie thinks that it is going to start like a lot of really intellectual conversations.
Yeah.
And
like
you
go ahead.
Well, you just kind of tell the movie like, no, not really. Like, I get what you're trying to do. It's just not as thought provoking as you think it is.
Yeah, and I'll say this, and it's not much of a spoiler, but when the husband has the conversation with the guy who used to live there, that's when you get like, oh, okay.
Yeah, that's like so on the nose. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he was like, I'm trying to remember how he phrased it. He said like, you're not ready to hear what I have to say. He's like, no, I am. He's like, okay, here we go. And he like tells him right away. That's what I'm talking about. Like the dialogue was a little corny sometimes.
Did you laugh out loud at that part?
I just like looked at my TV and was like, okay, that was weird.
It's like, I mean, if you ask one more time, I will tell you.
Yeah.
No, that's okay. You sure you don't want to know? Because I don't think you're right. No, it's fine. You can tell me.
But yeah, it had a lot of potential. But then, yeah, it ended up not being exactly what I thought it was going to be. So.
And honestly, I could have used more Lawrence Fishburne in it. He was pretty, like, obviously his character is intriguing, but I think the whole plot kind of revolves. Because do we ever get a resolve to the like mystery around his character and his family?
No.
Well, that's arguably the most interesting part of the movie.
I know. that they just leave you up in the dust there. So, Cellar Door. But the good thing is it's like an hour and a half. Not a super long movie. Knocked it out real quick. So it's worth a watch to just see what happens.
And kind of cool to see, at least for me, like Jordana Brewster in something not Fast and Furious. She's kind of an interesting actor for me.
Yeah.
Scott Speedman, man, he's in a lot of stuff I like, but I actually don't think I really like him as an actor. Like in The Strangers, I'm like, can you just shut the fuck up and we get back to the killers real quick?
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, that was the first thing. I knew we had a little crossover, so
Nice. Do you want to do one more, or you want to?
Sure. Yeah, I'll do another one that I know I don't think we have any crossover with anyone. I watched a Western a couple weeks ago called The Sisters Brothers. I actually think I did text Hornsey about this, or some commentary.
Definitely
Couldn't be your sister's brother be your brother?
No.
It's two brothers, and their last name is Sister.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you fucking idiot.
Dummy. God, who brought this guy along? This was the one. Actually, I'll tell the funny anecdote that I think I texted you about. 30 minutes into the movie, this movie stars Joaquin Phoenix. My wife says that guy looks a lot like Joaquin Phoenix. Crazy.
Were you like, I don't see it.
This will blow your mind what I'm about to tell you.
I had to pause
think they're
the
related.
To clear
I love how
things
she
up.
was like, I don't want to say it too early. I need to look at him a little more.
Yeah, she's been looking at it like 15. She's like, no, there's no way. That's not, is it? No.
She's like, not a lot, but like a little.
I was like, he does look like him. But anyways, this has John C. Reilly and Joaquin Phoenix. They play brothers. It also has Jake Gyllenhaal. It's a Western set in like the 1850s or something. It's around the gold rush. John C. Reilly and Joaquin Phoenix play brothers who are hitmen, and they're going out on a job, and then cross paths with Jake Gyllenhaal. And that's mainly the big characters, big actors in it. There's not really anyone else I noticed.
If I remember, maybe I'm misremembering the trailer from a few years back, but wasn't that like a little bit of a comedic vibe to it? Or am I way off from misremembering?
Not this one.
Okay.
No. Yeah, there's not much comedy in it. It was good. John C. Reilly in a Western, and the role he played, it didn't fit exactly. I just don't see him as like a badass bounty hunter, and
Not at all.
It didn't really fit for me. Overall, I enjoyed the movie though. It was a fun story. Him and Joaquin Phoenix's interactions are fun. Joaquin Phoenix plays a drunk, so John C. Reilly's character is trying to take care of him most of the time and trying to keep up. And I think the resolve at the end is good. It has a good ending.
Is there a female lead in this, or is it mainly just like these three guys out on the range?
It's mainly just those. There's another guy, Riz Ahmed.
From Boys in Rogue One.
Oh yeah, that's right. I knew he looked familiar as I was watching the movie. I couldn't piece it together.
In the first Venom.
Actually, those are basically the main four guys in it. Actually, I just clicked on his IMDb. What is this that he's in? Sound of Metal? That doesn't sound familiar, but
where he plays a drummer who's losing his hearing. Actually, pretty intense.
The picture looked familiar, but I've never seen that movie. But no, yeah. Overall, it was a decent Western. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the story, and everything. But yeah, basic gold rush. They're playing hitmen, so you get a few shootouts. And stuff like that, but there's good dialogue in between them too. Obviously, you'll get in those westerns because they're out doing nothing, camping, sitting by the fire. So it's solid. I really enjoyed it.
What was was this streaming on anything, or did you watch it at your local library?
Netflix.
I've never heard of this. With that cast, I'm actually very surprised. I
know. Well, I stumbled upon it and was like, I have to watch this now. I like westerns, and it's got a good cast. Yeah. The other thing I will say, Jake Gyllenhaal plays a British guy, maybe, or his accent is not great.
I don't know. Like that would take me out. Like it's like even with John C. Reilly, like Jake Gyllenhaal and John C. Reilly, who's a very serious actor, who has done just a few comedic roles, but he's done them so ridiculously well. I can't look at John C. Reilly sometimes the same way. So then throw in Jake Gyllenhaal doing a British accent, I think I'd just be like, I'm
pretty sure it's British if I remember correctly. Yeah, it's
it would throw me off a little bit.
Didn't hit correctly. But
I'm trying to think of the worst British accent I've ever seen.
It's mine. Oi, bro, I'm Jake Gyllenhaal.
And then you just randomly go, in it,
bro.
Dick Van Dyke and Mary Poppins.
That's a good one.
It's so
Cockney. It's Cockney.
It gets dragged over the coals all the time.
Is it a good one or is it Cockney?
Yeah.
That's the question. That's the age-old question. Is it bad or is it just Cockney? I like that.
It's like it's good. Watch. Let me do it for you. That will convince you.
Okay, someone else can go now.
All right, Cycler, what do you got? What's in your cup?
Okay, so I just watched for the first time. Like, I consider myself a cinephile, and there's so many like just movies I have not seen that I really should. So last night I watched Eyes Wide Shut, Stanley Kubrick's last ever film. Erotic thriller starring at the time married couple Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman. I remember this movie as a preteen because it came out at the same time as American Pie, and I just remember like America was such an interesting place, and these were two very like sexually forward movies that came at the same time, very different, but albeit like sexual themes. I had always been intrigued by the concept of the film. I really didn't know too much outside of like a lot of gratuitous nudity, which should have sold me years ago. So I don't know what took me so long.
Yeah.
I remember watching this on like a leaked channel of HBO back in the day because I heard there like might be a few nipples in it when I was like 14.
A few.
I mean, Nicole Kidman, like the opening scene is her naked. Like I'm pretty sure. Like I was like, oh, we're just.
All right, we're gonna have to pause the pod. Everyone, come back in like 30 minutes.
All right, well, 10 seconds.
I need some time.
So I've always been intrigued in this film. I always see people talk about it online. I've always been someone who loves cult movies. Some of my favorite movies ever are cult type movies. It's called an erotic mystery thriller. I was like, okay, this is up my alley. Finally got around to watching it. It's on Paramount Plus right now. What I'll start with is, again, fantastic cast. I mean, the majority of it is just Nicole Kidman and Tom Cruise. They both give incredibly believable performances as like this married couple who's been married for 9 years, have a 7-year-old daughter. They're well-to-do. He's a doctor, but like you can just tell there's something lacking in their marriage. Maybe they've gotten too complacent. And the film obviously builds into like sexual desires and that you hide from your partner, and not in like a cheating sort of way, that like we're a human sort of way. And what are the things that like are tempting you? And Tom Cruise eventually finds himself accidentally somehow discovering of this like I mean, we don't really know what they are, but it seems like a sexual cult, and he like finds the password and he goes in.
I mean, we've all accidentally done that.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, well, he kind of weasels his way in. He's able to get the password from a friend it's a whole thing. I don't want to give too much, but
is it boys rule, girls drool?
Yeah, absolutely. And girls have
that's the password.
Yeah. And there's positives and negatives. One, I really, really wanted to like this movie. Like the visual, the cinematography is beautiful. The score, there's a very specific scene. I think it's called The Masked Ball on Spotify. Like the scene is iconic. I've been listening to it all day.
God, you really dipped into it. You've been listening to the soundtrack all day now.
Yeah, well, the most epic scene in the film is when he's watching the like ritual with the mask cult, and I read like the score was so beautiful. I had to read about it. It's actually Orthodox liturgy. The composer reversed it and slowed it down, and it's like haunting. It's like it's
That's
so
cool.
Fucked up in a cool way.
That's a fun note.
There was a lot of like just imagery and sound that I loved. What I didn't like was the film just really did. Maybe it's because of what I thought it was. The nipples. I didn't like the nipples. The film didn't go where I thought it was going, or the film didn't do what I thought maybe all these years of hearing about it, what it was going to be. The cult was not a major player in the film, as much as I thought it was going to be. Nicole Kidman feels like an afterthought in the film. She really should have been in it more. It really is like Tom Cruise kind of like figuring out what he wants and what he's doing. I don't want to go too much into it. The negatives are this feels like a movie that is your English literature high school film. They're like, why did the director make this color red? Why did they do this in the background? Why is and you're like, I don't know, maybe because it was red, but everything has to have meaning. So
in the words of Peter Griffin, it insists upon itself.
It insists upon itself. Absolutely, it does. So there's a lot of it.
Could not get into it.
It's just distracting. It's totally trying to be artistic and trying to be something. And at the end of the day, I feel like we didn't actually get anywhere. Now, there are pros to it in the sense of like I immediately went online and read every possible theories, and there's a lot of them. Most of them being like allegories to Illuminati, child sex trafficking, the most consistent of which are just a married couple that like isn't honest with each other and needs to like recognize that like they're in a different phase of life and dealing with that. Whether you are good with those theories or interpretations or not, I think that at the end of the day lacks on the film by not being able to convey its theme. Now then, Stanley Kubrick died 6 days after giving this to the studio. So then you read about Stanley Kubrick and who he was as a director, right? One of the most iconic influential directors in movie history. He was known to edit his films up to the last minute, to the point that the movies were actually, put on in theater. He died so early in pre-production, in post-production, that a lot of people are saying that the movie we have is absolutely not the vision. It's like almost like Mozart's Amadeus, where it was written after he died, where they put it together for him.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that, like what Eyes Wide Shut was supposed to be and what it was lacking. So that's an interesting thing. We'll never know what Stanley Kubrick's actual intentions were. If you study his filmography, you do know he would have made changes. It's definitely not the same film. I don't know if the result would be different or the same, but it's worth a watch. It's still beautifully filmed. It's beautifully acted. There's a lot to take from it. It just was not what I thought it was, and there was just not enough cult and not enough mystery.
Did Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman meet on this movie, or were they already married when
they were already married? There's a lot of people saying that this is one of the movies that made them finally call it quits, like long term, like cultish behavior. He was obviously heavily into Scientology. Supposedly this was one of the movies that like Nicole Kidman saw the writing on the wall.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's one that I guess I should rewatch at some point, because I know I was texting you earlier about this, and you're like, "Oh, good, you'll have something to say on the pod tonight." I'm like, "Yeah, I saw it like 20 plus years ago, Nipples. And yeah, as a teenager, I was like, I don't remember shit from it except naked people and masks. That's about it."
There were a lot of naked people.
Yeah.
I want to break it down more, but I know you guys, Nathan, if you want to revisit it and Horns you haven't watched, and I feel like it would be a movie you just want to watch just to, like check off your list of like famous movies.
Yeah.
So I don't want to go too much into spoilers, but there's a lot of things we could say about Tom Cruise's character, what he does and doesn't do, and the way he's jealous of his wife for what she does or doesn't do. It's interesting to break down. It just didn't get to where it needed to be. It had great ideas.
Yeah.
But that's only one part of it.
Interessante.
This has always looked
like Eyes Wide Shut.
Like you said, like you study this in film class, and maybe it's as surface level as the stuff in it, or maybe it is like really everything is allegorical and symbolism. I do remember True Detective season 2. There is a like part of the through line of the season that revolves around like an elitist Illuminati-esque like sex cult, and people saying that it was basically like completely ripping off all the ideas from Eyes Wide Shut, which I couldn't verify because I hadn't seen the movie. That was like one of the complaints people had.
Well, this was inspired by a book that Stanley Kubrick, I guess, desperately got the rights to early on. Like he wanted to make this film for a very long time. And again, he got to it right before he died. So it wasn't like this foreign idea. Like it was something he had completely had a vision for. And I think that's the most unfortunate thing, is that we didn't get that vision. I mean, we'll see. There were rumors that he was either I talked to this Horns yesterday, read that he said this is his greatest gift to cinema that he's ever done, which is crazy considering who he is. Then also there were quotes that he was saying this is pure trash, like based on everything he had to deal with making it, and he was extremely disappointed with it. So like, who do you believe? I don't know. Unfortunately, he's not here to tell us.
Yeah, maybe it'd be one he just like gives to the studio. He's like, we're gonna throw the baby out with the bathwater. You can fucking whatever. Don't even put my name on it.
Yeah, but then he died, so
Interesting.
And there's rumors that the Illuminati killed him because they were really offended by this movie.
Wow.
Him being like an old man, that one, no old people die.
This might be worth it just for the internet rabbit hole that will ensue if I watch it.
Yeah.
Bro, sure. I watched a YouTube video last night of a guy in a rabbit mask breaking down the film. That's how,
Because he's afraid people will like hunt him down.
Yeah, because he breaks down how it's a movie about the Illuminati and child sex trafficking. And I was like laying in bed, my wife walks in, she's like, "What are you watching?" I was
the fuck are you
guy in a rabbit mask breaking down this movie.
Every time my
He
wife
has
walks
guns
around,
in the background too.
and
I
I'm
was like, what
watching
am I
YouTube,
doing?
I'm like, I can explain, but let me do it after this video.
Yeah, I have a reason.
I have to like and subscribe Rabbit Heads, Donnie Darko guy's YouTube channel.
Yeah, Frank. So that's
Nice.
Eyes Wide Shut, 1999.
Cool.
All right, I'll check it out. All right, I'm trying to figure out what I want to talk about first, because one is going to be a really interesting conversation with Nate, and then one is going to be a really interesting conversation with you.
Ooh.
Cycling. Who's my favorite?
Ooh.
Let's go with Nate on this one.
Hell yeah.
Oh, come on.
No offense, Cycling. Sorry. Nate, I watched The Substance.
I know. I've been telling Cycling
I'm gonna take my headset off, and then you guys wave to me.
Okay.
Okay,
Nate,
so we're gonna go spoilers. Okay.
Yes, spoilers for The Substance. I'd say skip ahead like 3-ish minutes. My review on Letterboxd just said, "Well, that ruined Chilly Night."
Yeah. And I'm not one for getting disgusted by things on TV or things that I watch and like not being able to eat with it. I could see people. I could see myself getting disgusted and not wanting to
I
eat
could see
anything like this.
myself. There's body horror, and then there's the last 10 minutes of The Substance.
Yeah. So
Like
I'll preface with this and kind of just all encompass, and then we can go into it. I enjoyed this movie. The last 10 minutes kind of lost me, but I don't think that really detrimented the whole film for me. I still enjoyed it. The acting was great. The storyline was great, and like how they were doing it was fun and engaging. And very visceral, because like the ASMR on this thing is turned up to 11, like every little sound. There's a scene with Dennis Quaid that we talked about eating the shrimp or prawn or whatever it was. Super disgusting, but it got its point across. And I get the whole body image thing, double standards in Hollywood. I know what they were trying to do. It's pretty apparent, pretty obvious. They're being very over the top and overt about it. But yeah, I thought the acting was really great, and everyone did their part well, and they did what they needed to do. But man,
it was cast very well too. Like Demi Moore in this role. I mean, this almost must have been like therapeutic for her to get to play this, right? Because it's clearly like something she has observed and seen in Hollywood, where you especially as a female, you have like a shelf life to the industry, and then at a certain point, like you just have to play like the mom of someone or like the grandma of someone, because when they can't use you as a sex symbol. And again, Dennis Quaid's character is so over the top and stereotypical. It's like, all right, we get what he's playing, but somehow every time he was on screen, I wasn't like annoyed by him. I actually found him.
No, I was captivated. And yeah, like it's a big satire, and it does well on that. And Demi Moore, I think I even heard her say this on Hot Ones when she was on a couple weeks ago promoting this. But she knew this was going to be a big swing. She didn't know if it was going to be a miss or not, but she wanted to take it just because she knew the potential of this movie. And I think it's gonna catch on, even if it's in like a cult classic kind of version. Because this movie goes big. It goes big.
I think it looks awesome too. Like
visually, yes.
Oh my God, visually it was stunning. Like I'm no expert on cinematography, but man, this thing was like sharp in terms of color, and it is a very visual movie in the sense that like it uses its visuals to really elicit a reaction from the audience, and it's very successful at that.
Yeah.
There's one thing, I don't think I texted you about this, and this is kind of a divergent point, but I just really want to get your opinion on this. And maybe this was so obvious, it's like, yeah, porn's fucking duh. Or maybe I just like kind of thought about it later. So the guy from high school that she meets up with, I think his name is Peter.
Yeah, whatever's
right.
I forgot.
And she gets his number, and they plan to go out later. Which actually, that to me was actually like a really heart-wrenching scene when she does finally agree to go out with him, sort of like for validation, or maybe just because like he's someone that actually knows her and still thinks she's beautiful, like despite everything, and she can't muster the courage to actually go to the restaurant. Did you notice? And again, this might be so obvious. It's like, yeah, you fucking idiot. But the younger version of her, the guy she hooks up with on the motorcycle, is also named Peter.
Nope, definitely did not.
I think that is the Substance younger version of that guy.
Man, that would be cool.
Yeah, because I think they have the same phone number when she writes it down.
Oh man, that's a cool Easter egg if that's the case. No, because I did not notice that at all.
Which, I mean, that now makes that connection work. And it's like, oh my God, you guys do. I mean, yeah, they were just going to fuck in the one version of it. And he's a dick when he's younger. But it's like, so
Yeah.
you guys actually do have some sort of connection. It doesn't really matter, like, whether you're younger or older. Not that that's like her soulmate or anything, but it's like, there's more to both of you than the facade of like, okay, you have a hot body, you have a motorcycle. Yeah.
Man, I hope that's the case because that adds another level to that relationship on both sides.
I'm like 95% sure it is, but I haven't done any research at all. Yeah. And then can you just like, what is your take on the ending? Because it gets so gratuitous and over the top. And then I get the metaphor of like her basically like melting onto her star on the Walk of Fame. But when she's up on stage and just starts like hemorrhaging like every fluid in her body, like what was that really about? Because that is really where it got to a point where I was like, all right, I get it. We can stop.
Yeah, I'm a bit confused because like I said, I really enjoyed the movie up until the last 10 or however many minutes it was when she transformed into her last thing. The tone and the theme like completely just changed. Like it almost went slapstick comedy because she just pins a paper of Demi Moore's face on and they just like let her in the theater. I'm just like, okay,
yeah, I forgot, what the fuck was that?
No, so like I was like, I was like, are we in a different universe now? Because it like completely shifted into just, oh, we're just comedically doing this to get our point across. We're gonna let her in and go up on stage. I don't know. I'm confused about the ending. It honestly didn't sit super well with me because of the tone shift and it was so drastic. But other than that, loved it. But yeah, ending kind of took me out of it.
Yeah, and I told you she started to look like the guy in the movie 300 that sells out the Spartans to fuck those analogy. Persian chicks.
Yeah, the hunchback and everything. It is weird, boobs coming out of wherever, but crazy stuff.
And there's one of those movies where it's like it is gonna sit with you for a while, and I think like every once in a while, you go poke around online a little bit about it and see other people's takes, and it'll. So I'm excited for Cycly to see it. I think we can have an even more in-depth conversation after he gets a fresh set of eyes on it.
Yeah, wild film. Get it back on here.
And so it's that dinosaur orgy at the end was just crazy.
Hey, what?
I didn't know Triceratops had 3 penises, but I guess Triceratops 3
makes sense. Yeah, Ceratops dicks is what that stands for. So.
Yeah, I think that's Latin.
I'm gonna go watch the movie now, actually.
All right, Nate, back over to you.
I just really want to watch this movie, and
no, okay.
I didn't want to.
Yeah, we'll have a better conversation when you get to check it out.
I can't believe I haven't watched it. Is all I'm gonna say. Yeah, like I've heard. It just seems up my alley.
I was like live texting Nate throughout it. Like, what the fuck?
Well, I think right after I watched it, I texted the group and I said, "Cycly, it is. I don't know. It is weird as shit, and you will love it."
I love it.
Or I said it's super fucked up.
Weird shit. At least I'll sit there at 2 hours later and be like, "What, did I love it?" No, but at least hey, it gave me something different.
Yeah. Oh, it's different. It's different in all aspects. Let's see here. We'll go with. I watched My Old Ass.
I want to see this.
Okay, I thought you might have seen this. I think I talked to someone else about it. It's really great. It kind of caught me by surprise. It popped up and I was like, I like Aubrey Plaza. Seems like a fun one. So it's. I'm trying to. This be a spoiler? I don't think so. I mean, it's basically the whole movie, but it's her and her younger self in like this kind of parallel.
Trailer.
Yeah, parallel universe. And they're coping with things that the teenage version is going through. And there's a bit of a twist near the end, but it's great. It adds a really touching moment at the end. I think they play really well together. And even though the characters really don't look a lot alike, it's not like they went for casting trying to get them spitting images of each other because she's playing her older self. They played really well together. The younger self has like a core group of 2 other girlfriends that are in the movie for a lot of it that play really well. But yeah, it's really touching. It was more poignant than I thought. And then honestly, kind of some tender, tear-jerking moments near the end. But yeah, it's kind of coming of age, a different way of telling a coming of age because you're dealing with your older self and your current feelings, and they're kind of battling back and forth because one has seen what happens to you, and is trying to cope with what you're going through with at the time and trying to get you to the next steps with as little tragedy as possible. So
I'm sold. That's
yeah,
a
kind of
cool
a quick
idea.
rundown.
The
Yeah.
premise had me really intrigued. Nate, because I haven't seen the trailer in a while,
Yeah.
just to confirm. So younger version is like the present day quote unquote one, and
Mhm.
older Aubrey Plaza comes back. It's not the other way around.
Correct. Younger version is current, and Aubrey Plaza older version comes back, and then they have interactions that way. But yeah, I mean it's basically it's a straight comedy, but it is very touching at moments, especially near the end. But
I'm gonna give it the last nomination for the Oscars for best comedy movie. Are you okay with that?
Okay, yeah, for sure. And I can't really go into too much of it without giving spoilers away. So I'll stay away from it, any of the other stuff in there, like telling like what happens near the end and the one twist. But yeah, it's really great. Really caught me by surprise. It's kind of another one I saw, Sisters Brothers, and I didn't know about it. It was okay. This one I like much better.
Where did you watch this?
This was Prime Video, I guess. I thought it was Netflix, but it's Prime.
Okay. And it's like it's part of the service, or do you have to rent it?
No, I think it's part of it. Yeah,
Sick.
it's included.
Okay. Awesome.
It's included. But yeah, highly recommend this one. It is really good.
Yeah, this was on my list, and I don't know if it got a theatrical release at all. I don't think it did.
Or like really limited.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it did either. The other thing I like about this too is it's kind of just set in, I think it's Michigan, somewhere kind of up north, but it's just in the summer. So kind of summer, coming of age, about to go to college, making decisions, working through feelings, and stuff like that. Am I
Aubrey
gay?
Plaza,
am I bi? I don't know.
Yeah. Am I both? That would be bi, Jeff. Aubrey Plaza is just such an interesting performer to me. Like, I know she's obviously started as like such a unique kind of brand of comedy on Parks and Rec. I feel like now the comedy that she utilizes is like just a minor part of all of her dramatic performances. And I don't think anyone would have guessed she had the dramatic chops that she's shown like the past 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, probably not. Yeah, I mean, I most recently loved her in Agatha.
Yeah, and of course she was in White Lotus.
Yeah. Oh, duh. Yeah.
Yeah.
Season 3 coming out soon.
I'm pumped. All right, my old ass. Definitely got to check that out.
Yep.
Cycling, what do you got?
Oh, I'm back.
Oh.
Well, let's see. I'll go another one because I know we gotta. We have a couple shared, Jeff. I'll go with Joker 2. I finally decided
Folie
to
just...
Yeah.
I feel like that's such a. I almost feel like being a pretentious French name is exactly what you need to know about this movie.
1000%.
So let me preface this. If you listen to the pod, you know this. I love the first Joker. Like I know it can be rub people the wrong way, or you can say it's like too similar to Taxi Cab or like whatever. Like it's. I've always I like dark movies. Clearly, I like movies that go into psyches. I love like movies that focus on villains. The first Joker was absolutely for me. When they finally announced the second Joker, I was sold, and I think I gave the theory long ago that like, hey, the Joker, I love the Gotham, I like grittiness of it. I like the idea that he's not actually the Joker. He's going to be inspiration for the Batman Joker. So when they sold us the second movie, I was in, and then they said like Lady Gaga's in it. I'm like, that's fine. I like Lady Gaga, whatever. Like she's been an American Horror Story. She can act a little bit. She's a theater kid. And then like they announced that it was a musical, and I was like, okay, now I don't know what to believe.
Remember we thought that was a joke for so long? Just bad reporting.
I texted Jeff this as I started the movie. I still felt like it was a gag that everyone was jokingly saying Like that's the joke, like for the Joker, is that this is a musical, but it's actually not. And then the movie ends, and you're just told like you have to keep telling people it's a like musical. Until the
Which
first
actually
song,
I would participate in. I would do that.
Until the first song, I have to be honest with everyone. Until the first song was sang, I didn't believe it was actually a musical, even though I was told it was. Like I was like, they're fucking with me. They're fucking with me. And the first song doesn't even come for 30 minutes. And then it's
you would like
every
forget
5
it's
minutes.
A musical.
Yes, and then it's every 5 minutes. And the first song hits, you're like, oh, they're doing this. And they do the first song really subtly. It's actually fine. Like the first song, the way they do it, it's like kind of in the Joker's head, and you're kind of like, oh, all right. And then it just picks up from there. And here's what I'm going to say. The concept of the film, I actually enjoyed. There is a story to be told here, right? Like why the Joker is such a fascinating villain. If you love Batman, if you love Arkham, if you love all the kind of things that make the Batman universe so, why he's my favorite superhero character versus everything in DC versus everything in Marvel.
Who's the bigger psycho? The psycho or the one who idolizes him? You know?
Yeah, absolutely. Like there is something to it, and like I have been desperate in the movie we never got. R.I.P. Heath Ledger. The movie we could have gotten for the third Christopher Nolan is Heath Ledger in Arkham meeting Harley Quinn as his therapist. Like I have been desperate for a true Harley Quinn, not this fucking Suicide Squad shit, like a true Harley Quinn Joker movie. This one had potential. They had some ideas. And every time you got into the film for half a second, you're like, you know what? I'm enjoying this. Immediately, boom. A random ass song, not original, by the way. None of the songs are original. I think maybe one song's original.
Oh, they're not original?
Yeah, they're not original.
I thought Todd Phillips said he wrote 10 original songs for this.
No, I mean maybe he did.
Probably did.
They just didn't make the movie.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. There's
I didn't say they're in the movie. I just wrote them.
Yeah, I just wrote them for myself.
Well, that checks out because Todd Phillips, I think you're off your rocker. So
yeah, I genuinely wonder if this Todd Phillips just like was this middle finger to everyone. I don't know. It takes out like every time the movie's doing something good, it takes away. It's like almost on purpose,
which I think it wants to do. It feels like an anti-movie. Yeah,
they are literally, and maybe someone's gonna be like, push your glasses up and be like, actually, that's the point. The Joker is an anti-hero, so you shouldn't enjoy. Like, fine, I love that shit more than anybody, but sell me the idea. Like
Joker's not an anti-hero either. He's
like
villain.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but in the movie they try to portray him like the mob of Gotham is portraying him as a hero. Like I can buy that idea. There are like I'm literally like, oh, all of a sudden I forgot it's a musical. I'm like on the edge of my seat. There's courtroom scenes and I'm like, this is fantastic. Heath Ledger, oh god, R.I.P. Joaquin Phoenix, great actor, like just selling the scene. And then out of nowhere, boom, just back to musical, and I'm immediately taken back. There's a scene at the end of the movie when Joaquin Phoenix says to Harley Quinn, when Joker says to Harley Quinn, will you please stop singing? And I literally was like, yeah. Like I was like, was that also like an audience fuck you? And I got on the Reddit movie review.
Most musicals, they don't acknowledge that they're singing. Like there's no one who's not in on the act.
He's like trying to get her to talk to him, and she's just singing. And he's like, hey, can you stop and let's talk? And like I went to Reddit on their the movie review, and it was the same thing. I don't know what happened here. I don't know if Todd Phillips really was angry at the audience. I don't know if he was angry at the studio. I don't think it's hard to sell Joaquin Phoenix to do whatever crazy things. Like Joaquin Phoenix is still Joaquin Phoenix.
I'm in.
So yeah, he's in. I don't even blame him for this movie. I think I look at this movie as such lost potential. It had really good ideas. It was really good when it wanted to be. But everything
it just didn't want to be good that often.
It didn't want to be good. And I jokingly texted, we have director's cuts of films, right? We have unedited cuts of films.
Yeah.
Can I get the unmusical version of this film? And honestly, might be pretty good.
The better cut.
Might be, yeah.
Like, wait, so you purposely made it better? Yes, we did.
Yeah. Just take out I honestly don't think you miss anything. There is one musical scene when the Joker is in the courtroom and he goes off and like kills the judge, and it's obviously not real, but like that was the only one I was like, that was cool. It gave you his psyche in that moment. Outside of that, take away every musical scene, you have a decent movie. And you also could have like made it even better. So Joker 2, pretentious as shit. I don't know what the intent was. I don't know what they were going for, but it did seem like a middle finger, and I was really, even knowing that going in, just kind of hurt.
Also, you could probably cut like 26 minutes off the runtime if you took a couple of songs out.
Honestly, the movie felt like it's a long movie. It felt like a trailer. I still didn't even feel like the movie even got to what it was trying to be. Like it was held back the entire time.
Like we just needed like another hour, man, and we would have had it.
Yeah, goddamn no. So Joker 2. But it does.
Yeah. All right, I'll say one that no one saw real fast, and then I'll share one with you, Cycly. I watched the Peacock maybe it's not a limited series. They might do a second season. The Day of the Jackal with Eddie Redmayne.
You finished it?
Uh-huh.
Bit of a slow day at work from home today. I went through 7 episodes of that today.
It's so fucking good, right?
I love this.
I couldn't stop.
It's so good. That's what I said. It's fucking awesome.
So I haven't finished it yet, but if that tells you how good it is, I watched 7 episodes almost in a row.
That does, and I agree with you.
I didn't even want to say it out loud.
Ends, I won't spoil anything, obviously, but it's like it wraps up where you're satisfied. But if they wanted to do a second season, there are a few interesting little nuggets out there that like it wouldn't feel like they're stretching it too thin. I don't think.
This is a show that presents a weird dichotomy because I don't know who I'm rooting for.
Dude, I know. Every single episode, I'm like, man, I hope this guy kills everyone and doesn't get caught. What are you saying?
I'm like, oh my God.
I know.
This puts you through the ringer as far as flip-flopping back and forth, seeing, like, there's obviously, I mean, this is just a trope in movies and shows all the time. Like, who are you rooting for? There's 2 sides, blah, blah, blah. Just like we said, like the anti-hero. Like, this one is bad. And, like,
every time the Jackal gets pulled over, I'm like, please don't get arrested. Even though I know he's killed 3 people that day.
And then he'll do something, like, just malicious. Like, the next episode, I'm like, okay, die. And I'm like, no, don't die.
And I'll be rationalizing it. I'm like, he had to do that. He had to choke out that guy behind the amphitheater.
Yeah, the way this thing is shot is so intriguing. And, like I said, it's just so it's driving me to want more every single episode. Like, I can't stop it.
It's like the fastest 45 minutes.
Yeah, I'll finish it this week, no doubt. I only have like 3 episodes left.
Okay, so
man,
I nominated it for a Oscar for best TV show series of the year.
Fully
and it probably should win. Yeah, it's just really fucking good. Apparently, it's based on a book, which now I kind of want to read because I don't know, like, where this ends. Like, are they just teasing a second season because they can as TV, or is there actually more in the book that they just chopped in half?
Yeah, I was doing research on it today. Yeah, it's a book, and then I guess there's a 1973 movie as well.
Oh, okay.
So it's like a remake.
So I wonder how different that is because obviously, like, the target of him trying to assassinate someone is like very, very tech-based heavy. So like that would not be the same.
Yeah, I think I read like the synopsis. For the other movie, I think it's more like politically driven. I think it kind of stays in that realm, which there's some political motives and drives in the new version with Eddie Redmayne. But I think, the 1973 version is more straight political murders or assassinations.
I wonder if that gets into the Jackal's military background as much.
Yeah, I don't know, because they've got into a little bit so far with me. They've had like some flashbacks and things. I don't know how much detail I've gone into it yet. Yeah,
I'm excited that you're watching it now. I fucking loved it. The payoff at the end is worth the juice is worth the squeeze. And this was one I don't know if Peacock released like 1 episode a week or what. I started it when there were like 4 episodes released, and just like you said, I watched them all like so fast where I was like, fuck, that's it?
Yeah.
I gotta wait 7 days for the next one?
Yeah, and there's a lot of. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say it's a good feeling.
For sure.
We want the next one.
And I don't know like all the technical details of the gun world, but they get into it a little bit, and that's kind of a big part of the show. But they present it in a way that's still very interesting, I think, to even someone who's a layman in that category. And the way that the guns are presented in this and the detail and things behind it, it's a big part of the show, and it's still very interesting. Even for someone who's not like, even if you don't know a lot about guns or anything like that, it's cool how they present it.
Oh yeah, I think just like the first 3 episodes literally focus on him creating his sniper rifle.
Yeah.
And in a way that he can actually sneak it through like some of the security checkpoints that he has to bypass.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest first biggest scenes in like the first episode. Yeah,
it's just crazy that like we can 3D print like basically anything. Like he goes to that one guy and it's like, all right, 14 hours we'll have a fucking gun. You want to play Xbox?
Wild. I mean, that's like real life. Like there's legit people who are 3D printing guns now, which isn't the best thing.
As they listen to this podcast, actually.
Probably. I'm like, it's
our boy Luigi is a big fan of this pod.
Yeah,
probably. Okay, sweet. Well, Nate, after you finish, we'll have to talk about the whole thing on here.
Cool.
Nice. All right. The other thing I watched, I actually have 2 that Cycly and I watched, so maybe I'll do one real quick and then we'll do the other one at the end. This one we'll do fast because I don't think we have much to say about it. Caddo Lake on Max. Is M. Night just a producer on this, or does he get like a story credit?
He's just a producer, I think.
So he probably just read a script and was like, sure, I'll throw some money behind this.
He's like, this is weird enough. I'm in.
Yeah, so Cycly, I'll just real quick, my review is fart noise. I won't insert one. I'm just going to say fart noise. What did you, I know you're a ways removed from it, probably a couple months, but what did you think of Caddo Lake? I love Dylan O'Brien, but Jesus Christ, what the fuck was this?
So I didn't hate it. Like, I didn't hate it. I didn't love it either. I've always been someone, and I understand how divisive this is. Anything that deals in spoilers, by the way, if you are really want to watch Lake Caddo.
So spoilers for Caddo Lake.
A couple minutes. Caddo Lake. So I don't mind time travel. I just kind of shut my brain off and try to take away everything that's like a plot hole, because once you introduce like time travel, it's plot hole galore. Like, it's, if you really want to break it down, it makes no fucking sense. So
what's
it's like,
the line in Avengers Endgame where they go, it's time travel, either it's all a joke or none of it is.
Right. And that's kind of how I'm like, so I take it for what it is in the surface. I didn't hate the movie. I didn't love it. It was original in some concepts. I like the idea that, like, someone is his mom is his grandma or whatever, like, it's been a while, but like, I think it's a kind of cool concept, takes you out of your element for a second, makes you think. Performances were fine, writing was fine. Did it deliver? Did it, like, there's too many glaring issues at the end of the day. But the biggest complaint I have about the movie, it's only been a month and a half probably since I've seen it, and it's really forgettable. Like, it has not been that far since I've watched it, and I've like already like grasping at straws, being like, wait, hold on, what did this happen in this? So I remember the overall concept, I remember the overall plot and how it developed and what happened with this character. It's very sad, I will say that. Like, the overall story is very sad, but it's fine if you want just something kind of original to watch, and you're just like, I need something mysterious. I would say watch it, but it's not gonna, like, win you over with like, that's an iconic film.
Yeah, I mean, the first act, I think the reason I was really digging it was I was getting True Detective season 1 vibes. Number one, based on the locale and like a potential missing girl. I was like, oh shit, okay, I'm in. The problem with this movie is the plot is the conceit, meaning the plot to the movie is that time travel exists, and that's basically it. And then the other problem is there's no explanation behind how it's even like possible or done, even a lazy one.
Like the none is ever in that lake, yeah.
Yeah, none is ever given. And the whole plot to the movie is this girl, we're going to spoil everything here. This girl goes missing, but she didn't actually go missing, just time travel exists in this lake. And that's like the plot, basically. So that's literally it.
I think what I enjoyed about it is, like, all of our brains, like, sometimes when we're going to bed or when we're daydreaming, take us to a weird place. We're like, what would happen if I showed up and it was 50 years ago outside? Like, that's just like mindless things our brains do. and that's why I found the film at the very minimum entertaining. And when I say entertaining, just like it kept my attention. And that was it. So like I got that. That was fine with me. But you're right. Like once you actually try to break the film down, it falls apart quickly.
I will say this. It's the runtime I enjoyed. It was like an hour 40 with credits.
Yeah.
So at least it knew like we can't stretch this into like 2 hours 10. So I did appreciate that. Caddo.
I felt bad for his character, that's for sure. Like he suffers.
Oh, not a good. Anytime a good thing is like about to happen to him, two bad things happen to him.
Yeah. That was all I would take from it. But would you recommend? I mean, like, how would you recommend this to anyone? Would you say like if you're really bored and just need something you've never seen before? Or would you even?
I don't know. I don't think I would really like. It's tough to recommend because it's the rare movie where I don't quite understand the ending, but I care so little that I didn't even look anything up about it to like explain it. At least Tenet, which still doesn't make any fucking sense to me. I was intrigued enough to be like, all right, I'm gonna Google some things. This movie, I was like, I don't give a shit. Next movie.
That's such a bad sign. Like how many times, even if you hate a film, you're like, I want to read about it just to see, and like not you didn't even have that interest this time. Yeah, not good there.
Normally, I feel like I'm the stamp tramp where like I like almost everything, but between this and Smile 2 lately, I've just been giving fart noise reviews.
You're just a grouchy old man.
Yeah. Actually, maybe my review for Smile 2 that was just in my imagination.
Oh.
Like every fucking thing in the movie.
We're all a figment of your imagination. You don't have friends.
Could be.
That's true. All right, that's all I got for Caddo Lake. Let's do like one more each. Nate, what do you got?
I rewatched Midnight in Paris. I'd seen it several years ago, and remembering not caring for it. And I know Banner said he was a fan of it, so I rewatched it a couple weeks ago, and I loved it on the rewatch. It was fantastic.
It's always nice when you find that.
It was.
Like, yeah.
It was. For those who don't know or haven't seen it, Owen Wilson's in this with Rachel McAdams. They're married.
Sequel to Wedding Crashers.
Yes, in a certain universe. I love that theory. They're in Paris with her family. He's a writer. He's currently writing like big Hollywood movies, scripts like that, but he doesn't like that. And he wants to get into writing a novel, something for himself, basically. Rachel McAdams' character is kind of insufferable most of the time. And
are they on their honeymoon, or why did I think that?
I don't think so. No, I don't think they're on their honeymoon. They've been married a while, if I remember correctly. But he just falls in love with Paris, the idea of Paris, and being inspired by walking the streets of where others have walked, Ernest Hemingway and Pablo Picasso and Dali and all these other artists. And I mean, spoilers if you haven't seen it, it came out a while ago, but there's a time travel aspect to this. He hangs out with some of those artists and novelists from back in the where does he go back to? I think the 40s or 50s. But brings its inspiration to him from that. And it's a really good feel good story. It's a guy who's trying to follow his dream and then finally finds where he fits in and finds inspiration and does what he loves and what he wants to do, and ultimately finds happiness within himself. But yeah, it was great, and it was cool seeing the depictions of these old artists, and there's some funny moments. They bring some levity to it, with their characters as well as Hemingway. And
is Corey Stoll Hemingway? Because I know Tom Hiddleston is F. Scott Fitzgerald.
Yeah, he is F. Scott Fitzgerald. Who I actually
Corey Stoll is Hemingway.
Yeah, he's the bald guy from what's the fucking show he's on? I mean, he's an Ant-Man, but
he's in a lot of things.
Yeah. But then Gertrude Stein is played by Kathy Bates. Who's Dolly? Dolly is played by. He's not.
Is that Marion Cotillard? No.
He is. Why can I not find him? He's a famous actor, and I can't think of his name.
The cast of all the like
Adrian Brody. Sorry.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, he played Dolly. Yeah, I think Tom Hiddleston playing F. Scott Fitzgerald. I think he's one of the him and Zelda Fitzgerald. Those are the two that Wilson's character kind of first meets when he time travels and goes into the other universe.
Cycly Zelda Fitzgerald is played by Josh Hartnett's wife in Trap. I can't remember. Alison Pill, that's her name.
Ah, yeah, I'm looking at her now.
She's also in Devs, if any of you guys have seen that.
Love Devs.
Yeah, she's good in that. Who does Marion Cotillard play? Is she an actual person from the 40s, or is she just like a woman he falls in love with when he goes back? Can't remember.
She is. Wait, hold on. I'm trying to. Who are you talking about?
Pretty sure she's in this, right? She's Talia al Ghul from Dark Knight Rises.
She's in a lot of Christopher Nolan. Yeah.
Is she not in Midnight in Paris?
I mean, she might have not seen her in there.
But she's the chick he like falls in love with. Googling now. Efforting.
Yes.
Oh, I forgot Michael Sheen is in this. He's great.
Marion Cotillard.
Yeah. Maybe she's not. Just made all that up.
But you're cooler for having done so.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking at the cast. I'm trying to figure out who. There is one person who almost.
No, she's in it.
Oh, she is.
Yeah. So why the fuck isn't Google telling me? I mean, she's in a clip with him.
Oh, there she is. Yes, she's like 30th down. She's like 30th down on like the cast
though,
list.
right?
Yeah, she's like the one who he keeps coming back for because he starts falling in love with her. I was like, I didn't know her name.
Fuck you, internet.
And I was like, she should be higher up on the bill list. But yeah, I just didn't know her name. I couldn't piece her together. But yeah, she plays like kind of a love interest with Pablo Picasso, and
That's right.
so I don't know if there's any truth to that. I didn't look into it. But yeah, it was a great movie. I really loved it on the rewatch. So if you've only seen it once and you weren't maybe the biggest fan of it, go back and rewatch it.
I remember liking it when I saw it.
I'll still go back and rewatch it. Maybe I'll like it even more.
Oh, okay. Talk to me about it.
Maybe. Who knows? Yeah, Midnight in Paris. Good one.
Midnight in Paris. What was this on? What did you stream it on?
Great question. I don't know.
Figure it out. The same internet that wouldn't tell us Marion Cotillard is in it will tell us.
I know you don't. I know that put a bad taste in your mouth. You don't want to trust the internet now, but just Google it. You'll figure it out.
I don't think it's going to catch on. I've been telling you guys this. Like, do not buy stock in internet.
Nah.
Hey, don't doubt my boy Al Gore like that. It looks like it's on Amazon Prime Video.
There we go. Been on a big Prime kick, I guess.
I was going to say, Nate fucking loves Prime, bro. Why don't you marry it?
Worst interface of all of them, I'm gonna say.
It's not great. I just have a Fire Stick, so it pops up on there.
Max is pretty bad. Max is like so slow.
It is bad, but man, I feel like it's still so
good content.
Prime.
Good content.
Yeah, maybe that's why. Maybe I'm distracted by the content.
Probably. That's all I got.
All right. It's like, what else you got? Got any last things?
I mean, I got a couple. I'll do this because it'd be easier to talk about. I got a couple things, but I'll do Lord of the Rings: War of the Rohirrim, recent movie that just came out this last weekend. I am obviously, you've heard me 1,000 times. Lord of the Rings are some of my favorite movies of all time. Big Lord of the Rings fan, Tolkien head. Read the books. I was really I was kind of torn on this film because.
Look at me.
Yeah, look at me.
I read books.
I'm a nerd.
You're Cycly. You're doing an impersonation of Cycly.
Nailed it. This guy knows.
God. So I've never been into anime. Nothing wrong with anime. I just don't know shit about it. And then they decided to do this film in the anime style. And I'm like, I don't know who this movie is for. Is it for Lord of the Rings fans? Is it for Lord of the Rings nerds? Is it for anime fans? I don't know. It was an interesting concept. Obviously, I get why production-wise they went with an animated film. The pros and cons, I'll give you the pros. I will be fine. Hollywood right now is in an era where they're just replicating stories over and over and over. I appreciate that Lord of the Rings, we got a story set 200 years before, Bilbo and Frodo. And while it stays
So is this like
canon,
Rings of Power time, or where's it at in that?
No. It's well after that. Rings of Power is a couple thousand years before. And so this is like, I guess in the history of things, it's only not too far removed from Frodo and Bilbo, but it's like an independent story. And sign me up for these. Like what bothers me about like the Star Wars stories we're getting on Disney and everything, I'm like, you created this whole universe. Why do you keep just only you know looking at like times around the Skywalker era? Like there's a whole world out there. Like you can go 1,000 years forward, 1,000 years backwards, whatever. Like you don't have to just do something and retcon stuff, because the retconning is what bothers me. I love that they like kind of had their own story 200 years before. It stayed true to like what Tolkien was trying to do. It stays true to the story. Has nothing to do with rings at all. It has to do with the realm of like it goes back to what the like Jeff, you'll like this because you like the second Two Towers movie. It kind of originates why Helm's Deep is what it is, and how the Kingdom of Rohan uses Helm's Deep as like their protection, and just gives us that story. And it's just a film about itself, and that's great. Like we don't need to expand on what Lord of the Rings was. We don't need to retcon anything. So those are the pros. The cons are, I think it just goes to me not being an anime guy. Like I didn't get drawn in the whole time with the animation. Sometimes the animation, I don't know if it's an anime thing or just me. It seemed like the tracking was off. It seemed like the the voices didn't match the mouths. Just kind of took me away from it all. And again, for someone else, maybe they would have loved it. Brian Cox is the voice of Hammerhand. Like he's Helm Hammerhand in it, and he's great. But as someone who just doesn't know anime, I don't know who they were making this film for. So I walked out. I was happy, content. I was like, give me more of these type of movies with Star Wars, with Harry Potter, with Lord of the Rings. Like, you don't need to make your films focused on the one era that we know as fans. Great, but I'm not sure what they were going with the anime. But I'm sure there's plenty of people who watched it who love the anime. So that's just me.
Yeah, so I'm looking at the animation style here, and honestly, even for anime, this is pretty shitty.
It's and that's what's crazy. It has a huge budget.
Like
so
it's not.
I felt like the anime
The
was
coloring
terrible.
is way off. It looks like an unfinished like drawing that someone made.
And that's when I was like, am I missing something on the anime side? Like, is this just how it's supposed to be?
This kind of reminds me, earlier this year, I watched a show that I actually really liked. It was called Terminator Zero. It was like a 6-episode anime miniseries about like the origin of Skynet. And Jeffrey Wright was like the main voice, kind of like Brian Cox is like the anchor here.
Mm-hmm.
But I actually really like that one because I don't know if Lord of the Rings, The War of Rohirrim did this, but it used like the being animated format to still do big set pieces and make them like really graphic and over the top with like a fraction of the budget. Did they utilize it that way, where like some of the fighting and stuff was done well, or no?
I thought I think the whole time it just felt so foreign to me. So I don't even know if that's valid or not. The war sequences were cool. Like they had great action. It was, I don't know. I feel like with animes, there's going to be over the top action sequences and fight scenes the way they go about it. But for me, it was harder for me to get into the story, and I think I really enjoyed the story. Like I really enjoyed the concept of the film. And so maybe I'm just speaking to those out there who just haven't gotten into anime. But if you're into anime and maybe I'm missing something on the style of the animation itself, then that's great. But
if you ask me, you just sound racist. That's all I'm hearing.
Yeah.
That's all I'm hearing. Oh, it was foreign to me. I don't get it.
Anime. I did eat Asian food after this, by the way. I did.
Oh, you felt guilty.
That's worse, I think. Yeah, I saw anime and it made me want to order some fried rice.
In my defense, I watched it. My wife did not come with me, and I watched it, and I asked my wife what she wanted on the way home. She was like, "Can we pick up some Korean food?" And I felt very like, I don't know. I mean, I know Japanese anime is not great, but I was
gonna say it's even more racist than you think Korean is.
He doesn't even know.
Digging these holes, man. It's not great. But
okay.
Lord of the Rings, War of the Rohirrim. I would say if you're a nerd like me, it's still worth watching. Just wish it hadn't been anime.
Not the War of the Rohirrim, just like
War of the Rohirrim. Yeah, I think it's War.
All right, you know what? I'm going to save my last thing for a future episode because I think it needs a more lengthy discussion. Do any of you guys have anything else? We want to move on to the last part of our show.
I'm good.
Let's move it on.
All right. Brian Banner is not here to do the bird squawking noise that he does, but something like that. Do you even lift bruh is the last segment of our show, where we ask a question that we leave you guys with as we attempt to answer it. The question this week: what are the bros' top 100 movies of all time? We're about 2 years into this list, and before we get into it, Nate Thurman's going to kick us off with a couple of his. Cycling, why don't you tell the people at home what really is the best way to describe these top 100 lists? Because as we always say, even though you watched Eyes Wide Shut today, and Nate Thurman often dips his toe into the TMC classics to really culture us as a podcast. These are not like a film student's top 100 list. They might include some of those, but this is a very unique sort of flavor to it for a ranking system, I would say.
The best is the way to describe it is this isn't what you think are the best 100 movies of all time. These are what are your favorite movies. So they're unique to you. They're not something you're supposed to argue and convince people over. They're something that you could have watched at a unique time, a specific time with certain emotions, at a certain age. And you can even admit a movie sucks, but it's still on your top 100 because it just hits for you. So if you go to our list and look at it on broforsquad.com, you can see Banner's list. That makes absolutely no fucking sense. Or you can see my list. You're like, wow, these are really beautiful, impactful, epic films, and Banner just really doesn't know what movies are. It's all I would say. That's my description.
He doesn't know what a movie isn't.
Yeah, that in his defense.
Whoa.
Best thing going for him.
Yeah, he's like, fuck it, I'll watch it. I don't care.
Yeah.
You knew it was bad when he said Jumanji, and we had to be like, which one?
Because I just had no trust with it.
And he was like, not the one you think, actually.
Oh, boy.
Sorry.
Oh, boy.
All right, so this list is at the top of our website, broforsquad.com. It's also in the description of this podcast episode. The link will take you to a Google Sheets. Each of the 5 bros has their list counting down from 100 to wherever we're at currently. So, Nate, as of this moment, you'll kick us off. You last gave us your number 40 movie, which I think we all said we're a little surprised it was this low. That is serious shit getting to the top 40s. But yeah, I know this is a movie you speak very highly of. It was Hell or High Water, the classic, or not the classic, but the more contemporary Western, but it's now basically a classic. Mm-hmm. Cycles was, again, this shows you the disparity in these lists. Der Untergang, which translates to downfall, about Hitler. And mine was, basically the same movie, Rogue One, A Star Wars Story. Banner's was Spider-Man from 2002. So, Nate, what is your number 39? Cycles was The Strangers, Banner's was World War Z, and mine was the original Toy Story. What, for your list, will join those 3 films?
Man, The Strangers. Now that you mentioned that, I will have to touch briefly on that. That was I don't like scary movies or horror movies. That was my 101.
Wow. For you, that's like a top 50.
I know. I probably talked about this, but it's been 2 years now or something. But yeah, it's a good movie, but like it freaks me the fuck out. Right? Yeah, God, it's so scary. Anyway,
just you mentioning it scares the shit out of me.
I know. That's kind of what turned me off with like horror flicks like that. Anyway, my 39 is, man, this one's so good. 2006 Scorsese flick, The Departed.
Oh, beautiful.
This is what makes movies come into our list for certain reasons. Like when this was released, I think it was just the perfect time for it to come out and the age that I was at. So this released in 2006. So I was just around 18, 19 when it came out, or probably when I saw it, because I saw it pretty quickly after. But this is probably the one that kicked me off with Scorsese, because like before that, like I wasn't big into like watching movies like this, gangster films or anything like this. So I think I saw this first and then got into Goodfellas, then saw Casino. Wow. Gangs of New York came out before this, but then I saw Gangs of New York after that. So that's why this one plays such a pivotal role, because it really got me into Scorsese like filmology and like watching his stuff. There's still things I haven't watched of his, but this really kicked it off. This cast is just put
up there with the Ocean's movies, together. Like one of the greatest casts ever assembled, literally.
Leo just like, I mean, in his bag. If you
Leo.
want to use like NBA term here, or a hockey term, he was standing on his head at this time, just acting his
He
ass
live
off.
with it.
Is it
He
me or is it
live
Mark
with it.
Wahlberg in this movie though? Like maybe not. Maybe go fuck yourself.
I think he's the definition of a scene stealer.
Yeah.
Yes.
Me and
Yeah.
my wife literally say that anytime we ask each other a question. Maybe not.
Maybe.
Go fuck yourself.
Maybe fuck yourself.
I don't. Same. I don't know how many times I've said that, even to my wife,
Yeah,
because it's
all
just
the
such a
time.
funny, joking line. But man, the deception, the twists, the turns, and who's on what side. It's a classic one of those.
Who are you rooting for? You know, the whole time.
Yeah. This one, it's actually kind of kismet that we were talking about that earlier, because this is another big one. Like, who are you rooting for? You don't know half the time.
And what an ending! Oh my God.
I know, and it just keeps
Death after
twisting
death
and
after
turning
death.
on itself. And I guess I won't spoil it for anyone who hasn't seen it and wants to go see it, because you should go fucking see it and get this real time enjoyment of actually learning about the twist at the end. I don't know. It's a weird character of its own. Is the Boston accents that they do.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna say one negative from this movie, I think, and you guys might shit on me for this, but I hate that Dropkick Murphy song.
You a cop?
Oh, really?
I'm not a cop.
You a fucking cop?
Fucking firefighters. I don't know how many times I've said that.
First time a firefighter ever got pussy in the history of fire or pussy.
Yeah. It's
Bostonians know how to insult each other.
They do. And it's really great. And Jack Nicholson, maybe one of his last great roles.
Oh yeah. Well, the meme of him nodding. How often do you see that on Twitter?
All the time. I use that all the time.
Yeah.
Patriot Act.
Oh, that's so good for Apple. Man, what
it's
a cast
so
spot.
good. So gritty. But yeah, then like I said, when it came out, how old I was, and it kind of turned me on to gangster movies and movies like this. And it's just fun going back and thinking about things like that, and like what really triggered you going into like other portfolios of directors' movies. And this one kind of kicked me off as Scorsese. So
is this a
fantastic
remake of like a Japanese film or a novel, maybe?
Great question. I have no idea.
I think so. Yes, it is.
Really?
It is. Yes.
Of a movie or of a novel?
I believe it's a Japanese movie. I could be wrong, but I don't
Well,
want to get more in trouble with the Asians right now.
No, you got to tread lightly. I
At
would.
this
That's
point,
smart.
cyclically, just go full
That's
tilt.
smart.
Just
it doesn't matter, because to me they're all the same.
that will be good. No,
really
I believe it is a Japanese film.
I hope people listening at home are like, why don't these motherfuckers just Google it in 2 seconds? Because my arms are in a really
to act
comfortable
like it's
position.
the 90s here. We have actual conversations at bars here, okay?
Yeah. Yeah, we'll look up the occasional thing, but not all the time.
Yeah, it is not an original. I can say that.
The Departed coming in at whatever number that was. I don't know.
Also, for me, this was the first thing I ever saw Vera Farmiga in.
It's a Hong Kong action thriller, Internal Affairs. God damn it. I am not going to be forgiven by the Asians.
Yeah, and you've hit a lot of them.
I was
Japan,
just making
Korea,
amends too.
and China. But don't worry, China's
Hong
a
Kong's
small
not even
country.
China half the time, so be careful there.
God. Sound like John Cena. All right, Nate, why don't you do another one at least? If you don't mind, your 38th. Cycles was the 1994 Lion King. It's sad I have to clarify which year, but Banner is part of this list, so you have to be specific. Actually, speaking of Banner, this was an interesting inclusion. At 38, his was the comedy Stripes. Kind of surprised that made an entry that high. Cool.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then mine was the 2001 Ocean's 11, which we've actually done a movie commentary on. Actually, we've also done one on Lion King, so check that out. So, Nate, what will be joining those three at 38 on your list?
It's fun. I like to make connections here. So it's good that you had Ocean's 11 there, because I have a George Clooney movie here. Oh, Brother, Where Art Thou?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Coen Brothers.
Beautiful film.
Coen Brothers.
With our Tulsa boy, Tim Blake Nelson.
Tim Blake Nelson. Yeah. Very great character actor. Yeah, this one is just, it's fun. It's so
Who's the
fun.
third brother? Sorry, is it John Turturro?
John Turturro, yeah.
He's a great character.
Actually, random, I didn't even mention this in Protein Chick, but I've been watching season 1 of Severance. So.
Oh, nice.
Not to get off on a tangent there.
Has the second season already come out, or is it coming out soon?
It's about to come out, so I wanted to run through this so I could jump into it. Yeah, really great movie. Hilarious. Love the dialogue in this. Love the story. And I think this one was one just because when it came out in 2000, so I was 12. It took me a couple times watching it to actually get it and find the humor and really enjoy it. But after a couple watches, I might have to turn this one on soon because that's just one you can sit down and really enjoy. It flows nicely. Soundtrack bangers. Even some of the slower ones when they're going down to the river and they're singing down by the river. It's very touching and lovely.
Yeah, all the gospel, the soul.
Yeah, it's fit in really well. But yeah, like I said, this one took me a few times to really get into, just because when it came out at my age. But I knew other people really liked it and watched it a few more times. And yeah, this one is really stuck with me. It's a fun story. And so most Coen Brothers films I'm gonna like. So
this is like here's the thing, when both the Coens were still working together before they split.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I wish we made more films like this, because obviously this is based in Homer's Odyssey. There was a lot in the 90s and 2000s that were like modern era style. I mean, you can call it rather modern necessarily, but like modern-ish era of like Shakespeare or and Homer's obviously not in the same era of Shakespeare, but like, just why can't we take ancient stories or older stories and remake them into fun ways? Like, I don't feel like we're doing that anymore.
No, and that's a really good point, and it's a testament to people wrote good shit back in the day, and we're just revamping it.
Why are we remaking shit right now? Why was everything a sequel? Why is it? Oh, now we're doing live action everything Disney. It's like, dude, if you really want to remake stories, we just talked about The Departed being the Hong Kong thriller. Like, you can literally remake things and
this was around the same time of 10 Things I Hate About You, Taming of the Shrew is what it was after, around the early 2000s or late 90s.
So many of that.
Isn't Lion King Hamlet, basically?
Yeah, Lion King's Hamlet. Yeah.
Go ahead. Well, I was going to say, I'm glad you brought this up, because I actually had this to say and I totally forgot. Yeah, this is based on the Odyssey. I have another movie that's based on another Homer epic up in further up on my list. So just spoilers. I don't know how many there are out there, so people may be able to piece that together of what it is.
I like that, though.
Yeah.
Sly Dog.
Yeah,
but
Hollywood needs to bring this back. Like, there's too much out there in the history of story making that we are now for some reason ignoring.
I don't want to sound like an old, but to both of your points, this is the type of movie now, because it doesn't have like big name IP that they could get a built-in audience for. If it did come out, and I think the Coen brothers could still get financing for this, it would definitely be a straight streaming release versus a theatrical release, like a movie like this.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah, I don't know if it would sell. It is so unique, right? Like, I don't know if you would be able to sell. Or you put it in theaters and a month later it's streaming.
Yeah.
And then because, at the time, 2000, George Clooney, sex pot, this is like really against type for him.
Yeah. Like, if it's a period piece like now, like a period piece like this coming out in 2000, yeah, great. It came out to theaters, but like it has to be like Oppenheimer now. It's got to be like blockbuster, blow your fucking socks off to get into.
It drives me crazy because these are like, maybe I'm gonna be too romantic here, but these people are still, at the end of the day, like, as much as we look at them differently, these celebrities, they're still these theater nerds, like, at least in the core. Like, there should be an idea of seeing like Timothée Chalamet, like someone doing these kind of movies, and just saying like, you know what? Let's bring the audience into seeing something they're not fully always expecting. I think we need to respect the audience a little more. I think we are craving. I wouldn't call it originality because it's not original, but it is an original telling of a story in its own way, right? Like that's clearly not how Homer intended this to be written.
No.
I think there is an audience for this stuff, and maybe it's not profitable to these studios, and maybe that's the issue. But I feel like every time they've given an audience a chance to see something original, we've actually proven that we are desperate for this.
Yeah, the profitability is like, I mean, it's sad. Just look back to money. It all ties back to money, and that's exactly what it is. And Matt Damon laid this out really well, weirdly enough, on a Hot Ones episode, probably a year and a half, 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Because Sean Evans asks him about this and like making movies that Matt Damon actually wants to make, like Good Will Hunting and things he's done in the past, or The Talented Mr. Ripley. They have their budget, and back in the day, they expected to make half of it after the theatrical release on the DVD sales. That's not there anymore. And so if you want to do this, you just have to pony up the money yourself. So I'm sure there's some actors that can do that. Hopefully they continue to do these things. But yeah, that's basically what it boils down to. It sucks because they don't have that profitability on the end that they used to.
And then everything.
That's why these IPs. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say that's why these IPs are like the only things that get greenlit, because it's like, all right, we can sell toys, bibs, coloring books.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see an "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou" like fucking video game coming out.
Well, you're not.
I would play it.
Obviously, I have a license plate with "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou." Like it's like A24 to me is slightly starting to become the Harvey Dent, like live long enough to see yourself become the villain. Like A24 was.
Now they'll greenlight any weird ass.
Like I loved A24 because it was like you still got big names and it was fucking weird and like original. And now A24 is literally becoming like what they were supposed to be against. I mean, I don't blame them when it comes to money, but I do blame them as a viewer.
Yeah, it happens.
You know, it's I don't know. This is the point of what we're saying, like what we want out of cinema, and we want out of entertainment.
Yeah.
The trailer's been playing for this movie on the IMDb page. It's the longest fucking trailer of all time. I just watched the whole movie. Pretty good.
I love it. We used to
just
watch this in school, by the way. Like that's what I loved about it.
Really?
Yeah.
Didn't we watch it in our English class together, Florence?
Sounds familiar. When we did that assignment over like archetypes.
Yeah. I definitely remember watching "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou" in English
Plus,
class.
our teacher's probably like, Tim Blake Nelson is from the city we live in. So
sure, it's topical. Yeah, come on, bring it on.
We also watched the Lord of the Rings, the Romeo and Juliet with
Leo,
Leonardo DiCaprio, and not Kate Winslet. It's the other girl.
John Leguizamo and Claire Danes.
Yeah, Claire Danes.
Wrong movie, cycling.
Love that movie.
Fucking idiot.
Anyway, that's my number something. I don't know, 39, 37,
number
38.
38.
You'll get there eventually.
Yeah.
All right. To close out, let's have Cycling I each do one just because for a while. So we'll jump down a little bit on the list. Cycling, you listed number 33, which was Fight Club. And this is, again, testament to Banner in his list. His number 33 was Deep Blue Sea, which is not a gimmick. Like, if you know him, that legitimately is his.
It's sad.
No, nothing about Banner.
Mine.
This is a gimmick. Like, let's just be clear.
No, he does not do any of this like for attention. Mine was another Star Wars movie, Star Wars Episode 4: A New Hope. So, Cycling, I know Fight Club was like a quintessential film for you in your coming of age. What is one ahead of that then at number 32?
It's very similar to Nate going with The Departed and saying it inspired him to start watching a whole new genre of film. Mine is Quentin Tarantino's Pulp Fiction. And what this introduced me to as a cinephile, like, is why I would credit it as high as it is. And not only do I love Pulp Fiction, but also like the inspirations and the how many shows have done homages to Pulp Fiction.
Oh my god!
And like it's countless. Like I like to think there's a Simpsons episode, my favorite Simpsons episode, 22 short films about Springfield that does Pulp Fiction. But there's so much of this film has inspired other films and other art forms. So like, not necessarily do I break this film down as like, oh, I just love Pulp Fiction. It's Quentin Tarantino can be divisive. He has iconic films. I have a couple films above this of his and a lot of films below this. But this film just stands out because of what it defined, not only in the era of the 90s, not only like in terms of like the concept of the film and what it influenced, but it was also so original because it is so many stories in one movie. And it's, you can go down to Quentin Tarantino, like it's well acted, the cast is fantastic, the score is fantastic. But again, it's more about what Pulp Fiction did than watching it as an individual movie. And every scene, because the film is literally just a short, it almost feels like a short film of different scenes put together. Is so, and when you break the film down like that, it's just so iconic and it's so easy to watch because you're really watching like 8-minute clips, and the story just builds on itself throughout, and you're kind of like you're just pulled in because you're like, there's a bigger story here, there's a bigger connection here. It's such a unique genre of storytelling that only Quentin Tarantino could have done, and again is now like laid the groundwork for so much we see today. So for me, Pulp Fiction isn't just the movie that it is, it's just like what it led to. So very much what The Departed was for Nate, and what the introduction was for a whole new genre was for him.
Nice.
Well put.
I also think maybe the best use of a MacGuffin I've ever seen. Like the briefcase, essentially.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, my God, there's a whole Community episode about this. Like, I don't know if you've ever watched Community, but like the briefcase itself.
And I'm trying to think off the top of my head of another performance that would go with this, but really the only time to me that you can take John Travolta seriously. I mean, I'm kind of shocked he was cast in this, to be honest. He should be thanking Quentin Tarantino every day of his life, because him as Vincent Vega, like, he shouldn't have gotten that role. He was good in it, but like Tarantino, I think, kind of took a flyer on him. Obviously, he was a well-known name in Hollywood, but this is not the type of film that you would have expected John Travolta to
Not
make
at all. And you just get so sucked into the scenes with him and like Samuel L. Jackson just talking. Like, I don't know what Quentin Tarantino just has a way of just people talking for you to just be like, and in any of his other films that you're just like
Hateful Eight. It's just like an hour of dialogue and it's not boring.
Yeah, no. So like, I mean, when you take the cast again with Uma Thurman and Tim Roth and Harvey Keitel, like, and it goes down the list. And when you actually think about this film, because it is the film the way it is, and with like, just independent scenes on themselves, it's just like, it's just so meme centric. It's so influential. It's like, it's hard to not just appreciate. I don't think it's Quentin Tarantino's best movie, but I don't know if Quentin Tarantino is what he is without this film. So I don't. That's why.
This was like kind of his, like, at least for me, his coming out party.
Yeah,
well, some Quentin Tarantino conversations coming up.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to those. I have a couple more.
Nice. I think I can guess. I don't want to. All right, I will close this out. My number 32, one ahead of Star Wars Episode 4: A New Hope, is the greatest action movie ever made, and that is John Wick, 2014.
Wait, you didn't say Bikini Hacker, so I'm very confused.
No, I didn't say greatest movie ever made. I said greatest action movie.
There's action in that, though. So.
It just has so much going for it in terms of plot and
That's
dialogue.
true.
So John Wick 2014. To me, I had pretty much thought like the action genre was just stupid on, go to the movie theater, have a couple beers and enjoy it. Then I saw John Wick, and even though it doesn't really like need or devote too much time to the story about him, you fucking do. And the action is utterly incredible. It's shot in a way that is like so easy to tell what's going on. The camera rotates in ways you've never seen. Things look like they're done in one take incredibly. And it has a beagle puppy in the movie as sort of the impetus to the plot, which, if you know what happens, we won't get into it. But that inevitably had me hooked and into it. And If you want to talk about the Keanu-sance, I think it starts here. Like, he was kind of a guy that was not really being taken seriously by fans in Hollywood, and then John Wick came out, and we said, you know what? He has a heart of gold, and we love fucking watching him. And as John Wick, I mean, I hope he continues to try to play this character. I know he's coming out in that ballerina movie with Ana de Armas. They might do another one, but to me, it's crazy to say, but I think when it's all said and done about his career in 20 years, or whenever he passes away, you know, hopefully 1,000 years from now, this might be the role that people say they connect Keanu Reeves to. I know Point Break is obviously iconic and a lot of other stuff he's done, but to me, he is John Wick, and I think this is the best action movie I've ever seen in my life. The original one, obviously.
I mean, it says a lot comparing it to The Matrix, too, in terms of action film and iconic moments. And I never thought of a movie that has just endless action scenes and limited dialogue. Like, in throughout his career as playing John Wick, he has only like a couple hundred lines. Like, that's what's so wild about this. And
that's all
still
you
you're
need,
sucked
man.
into the story. That's all you need. And it gives you what you want. And it's such a perfect story. Like, I remember watching it for the first time, hearing from you what it was, reading online what it was, and being like, there's no way it's a fucking action film. And then watching it and being like, oh my God.
Yeah. I know, it just works.
I'm saying I'm back. Like, I need 3 more of these.
I'm thinking, yeah. Baba Yaga! And the sequels, I mean, bless their heart, they do kind of what every sequel has to do, which is like sort of expand the world building, like of the Continental and the society he's a part of. And to varying degrees, it works. But this one is like such a self-contained, really, like, his motivation is simple, but it's one the audience can really get behind. And I think the key to any good action movie, obviously, is the set pieces. But if you can find a way, I don't even want to say to give them gravitas, because that's going to be overstating what John Wick is doing. But when he's killing the people, you're sitting there like, fuck yeah, John, kill him.
You fuck with the dog.
You're really wanting him to kill these fucking Russians or Slovakians, wherever that's from. Slightly pissed off all of Asia and the Pacific Rim. I'm not going to piss off all of Eastern Europe. So here we go. Nate, you need to come in with some South American slander just to really check off half the globe.
Okay, yeah, those.
But yeah, the OG suck. John Wick. Coffee in Brazil, trash,
garbage.
OG John Wick. I think we did a movie commentary on this. I don't know if either of you were. I think one of you had to have been. This is where we did action movie bingo for one of the first times.
Yeah, I think I was there for that one.
So if you do watch John Wick, go check it out in our squad blog over action movie bingo, where we have like 25 tropes, and we have a bingo card generator that takes like 15 of them. And every time you get one of your bingo spaces, you take a drink, and then I think when you get a bingo, you chuck your beer. That's how it works.
Imagine drinking every time someone dies.
I mean, have to.
You're
pussies.
Dead.
All right, that's all I got. Before we leave our listeners for episode 233, any closing words of wisdom or advice? We'll go to you first.
Wait, sorry, who did you say?
You. I mean, just give the people words of advice to live by. How do they?
Sorry, no. Yeah, you cut out. I didn't hear the name.
The name is you. We're going back to the Asians.
Okay. Me. Yeah. So as we approach the holiday season, we're kind of right in the middle of it, past Thanksgiving into Christmas. Tradition is great. Everyone loves tradition. You like expecting the same things over and over again, but sometimes it's fun to like throw in something different into the mix. And maybe the tradition is that there's one thing that's different. So if you have Christmas dinner or what be it with your family, maybe throw in a new dish, try something different. Maybe you don't do the traditional Christmas dinner. Maybe you do steaks. Wow. Maybe you do like a prime rib if you don't do a prime rib. Just mix it up a little bit. And maybe then just every year after that, maybe that becomes the untraditional tradition, is introducing something new into the mix. Keep it lively. So there are my words.
I love that.
Thank you.
That's not
I feel
what
like you're gonna make people mad though.
Whatever. Fuck with tradition, And
at some point, the new tradition,
we're always
resistant
to change.
to unearth that.
Just do what makes you happy. But I think this could provide some newfound glory for some people.
I think Nathan's just sick of turkey.
I just like mixing things up. I like chaos.
I'm an agent of chaos.
We're always resistant to change. It's beautiful. Cycly, what do you got?
So I want to say I think out there we should respect tradition and something that your family's done, and we should every year at Christmas and Thanksgiving and New Year's we should do
unless you're Asian, if that
because it's important to honor the tradition and remember what got you there. And it isn't always the best meal, not necessarily, but it's a symbolism that you shared with your kids and their kids and your grandparents, and something that be shared with everyone. So when you're thinking about your Thanksgiving or Christmas and meals, do what's been done, because it's so much more than what you were thinking it was.
You've already agreed to see me next Friday, and you're going to regret that because I'm going to kill you.
That's true.
I'm going to kill you.
Imagine if we made him go first, what would he have said?
I don't know.
Egg on your face, it would have been exactly that.
His whole move is a counterattack. He has no.
I learned from you, Horns. You are the king of the counterattack there. What's your team name? You say it first.
It's funny because, like, if I'm playing against anyone that knows that move, they won't let someone on their team give me a name. Like, don't say anything. Those people are like, why? It's fucking weird.
It's a fun back and forth.
We're the dragons. Oh, well, that's too easy. You know what? So I used to do the haircut thing, but Cycle, you remember from last week. Gotta mix it up. So the Ring app. I know a lot of you guys.
Oh boy,
might have a Ring doorbell cam. So the Ring app, aside from having like your live feed of your front door, there is a neighbors portion of it where your neighborhood can post messages. Really just about anything in the neighborhood, but ours is fucking ridiculous, to the point where here's what we had today. Here's the post from about an hour and 48 minutes ago. A helicopter has been circling for the last 15 minutes or so. Anyone know what is going on?
Nate knows.
You know what's been going on.
Well, it might be like a helicopter Christmas light tour, because I know that's a thing.
Okay. Here's some of the quotes I got. Not as productive.
Great delivery.
Not as productive. Okay. One person says, train robbery.
Huh?
Another person says,
huh?
That has to be sarcastic.
No,
and I respect the person for that.
At this point, people just fuck with these people now because these posts are so
ridiculous. That makes sense. Okay.
Next person. Normally, when police helicopters are circling over a single area, they are looking for a missing person, usually dangerous, a murder or possibly multiple murders. If I were you, I would lock my doors. Murders. But honestly, by the time you are reading this, it might already be too late.
What I like about multiple murders is they might actually kill each other, so the situation will resolve.
Hey, let it play out.
Yeah,
let it play out.
I know, right? Let nature
Murders
run its course.
One play, and it's a kill.
And then people just run with the ball here. So the next neighbor posted, homicide suspect on the loose, killed 3 people and is on the run. Lock your doors. ... Never mind. That won't stop them.
Killer's like, you know what? The store is locked. I respect their privacy.
And then the best part, and this is how I'll end it, is a response. The person who originally posts rarely comes back in and comments. Usually because they can probably tell they're just being dunked on. But to that comment about the homicide suspect, the person comments, "Are you joking? ? 3 exclamation points."
Jesus Christ.
This sounds like some Reddit circle jerk threads I get into sometimes.
These people exist. These idiots exist.
Yeah.
That's
So
funny.
My point is, guys, if you're on the Ring app, I keep basically all my neighborhood posts is and I live in a very safe neighborhood, but they'd be like, anyone know why there's a police car out front of CVS? First off, why is that any of your fucking business?
Yeah.
Second off, no.
What are you so worried about?
So
Maybe we have so paranoid.
Yeah, for real. Go in and buy your orange juice or whatever the fuck you did. Well, that's going to do it for episode 233. For the American Hero Nate Thunder Council, Ronnie Cycly, I'm the mayor, Jeff Hornacek. We have been the Bro 4 Squad podcast. Thank you guys so much for checking us out. Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, and where you find your podcast. Type in Bro Force Squad as 3 separate words. Check out our website, broforcesquad.com, at Broforce Squad on all the socials. And if you want to buy some cool Christmas presents for your friends, we actually have a sponsor, buy.com. Click the link in the description of this podcast episode, 15% off. They got a lot of cool shit there. Till next time, we will see you at Mondo Burger. We actually have a sale next week. Free burgers.
Mondo
That sounds good. I'll have that.
Super.